Yet these also exist within us as luminous elements. They light the way of spirituality, which is a characteristic of angels. That's why the human being can sink to the lowest of the low, and it can become angelic, higher than angels. Why? Because the angels, only him that plays praises of Allah. They don't have distinction. They can't do wrong, basically. They can't do wrong. They can't do anything except what they're created to do. That's all they can do. So with that, they don't sin, they don't do wrong. But man, because he has this dual or tripartite nature, he can do wrong and he can do right. If he chooses right, he gains more, or he's in a better position, or he's stronger and more powerful than an angel. And an angel do not do wrong. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us and put us in this form and this shape. And because we go out and face the challenges of life, because we go out and hear the call of Allah, and it says, call on me and I will hear you, I will listen to you. And because of that call, that internal, that external, that whole societal mystique of the elevated human being comes into play. Because we can move to one step, one section, one elevation after another, right? Till we reach that stage of excellence, of perfection. That's why in here, this article, I won't read it, but it talks about Nasamara, Naslawama, and Nasa Mutmaina. These are basic 3 levels of Nafs. Nafs Samara is the regular animal. Just like this physical stuff. It likes to be warm in the winter, cool in the summer. It likes good food. It likes it well prepared. It likes it tasty, right? And it's like the animal. And it loves sex and everything else. But the animal don't have basic rules, right? It does what Allah made it to do. All animals mate in a certain way. They do certain things. They urinate on buildings so the other cat can smell it. You know what I mean? And they get juiced up. That's nature. They don't do nothing. But the human being is different. That's why in the Quran it talks about Jaleka. That was the woman that was chasing down Yusuf. And when the king asked her what happened with you and the women, she said it was Nafsamara, the impelling spirit that pushes and drives the soul. It was desire, right? It was passion, uncontrolled, unbridled passion. So that's Amara. Amara is the animal self. That means if you live on that level, you do just basically like animals. Naslawama is when you become conscious. You become, let's say, a human being. You now make decisions based on right or wrong. Now, you don't always make the right decision. That's Naslawama. That's the one the Quran calls a self-reproaching spirit. It reminds you, that's what it reminds you of right and wrong, right? So that means that you have to make a choice now. Not Samara, you see a beautiful lady, handsome man, hey, there's no choice, you just go and do whatever you do. But Naslawama now means you are a human being. You make a conscious decision. Everything is not if it feels good, it's all right. If it looks good, it's all right. No. make a decision now. Well, she's married. Well, so am I. Da, 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 da. So you make a decision. You may make the wrong decision. You may still do exactly what Samara pointed you out to do. But there's a discussion now. There's self-talk going on. You challenging yourself. Now, the satisfied soul, nafsan mutmainah, is the beatific spirit. That soul that has evolved so far that it's almost does right, it's almost on automatic pilot. You don't have to fight too much with those choices. Nafs amara, nafs lawama, and nafs mutmainah. Okay. These are very popular, and when we understand those, we're off on the road. Okay. The true nature of fasting. The word Ramadan is derived from the Arabic root, which means intense heat, the dry heat of the desert, of the sun-scorched ground. A number of reasons have been put forward about why the word Ramadan comes from this root. Some say it's because of the heating sensation that is felt in the stomach as a result of thirst. While fasting, others say it is because Ramadan scorches out evil, just as the sun scorches the earth in the heat. Still others say it is because just as heat can help to alter, shape, form, or mold any matter, organic or inorganic, from metals to plants, Ramadan helps to reshape, remold, reform, and renew one's body, mind, soul, and character. In this sense, Ramadan has a purifying effect. That's the beauty of Ramadan. Also, it fosters taqwa, as we talked about earlier. It fosters dhikr, or the remembrance of Allah. When my servants ask thee concerning me, I am indeed close to them. This is Surah Baqarah. In our day-to-day struggles, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can sometimes be hidden from our lives. But during Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is manifest as we open our consciousness and awareness through the act of fasting. A physical and biological reality is transformed into a spiritual experience. Hunger is no longer hunger. Thirst is no longer thirst. It is ibadah, worship, a humbling experience of obedience to our Creator. Each step is a milestone on our spiritual journey toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose pleasure we ultimately seek. I'm going to read that again because that's really the essence of this whole article. In our day-to-day struggles, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can sometimes be hidden from our lives. That means as we go along day to day, we might be like some of the ritualistic people. We run in, pray Allah Akbar up and down, and we go on about our business. But it has no effect on our contracts that we write, on the business that we do, on the ethics and on the morals that we display in our everyday life. So technically, Allah is present, but it also Allah is hidden from our behavior. But during Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests as we open our consciousness and awareness through the act of fasting. A physical and biological reality is transformed. Now remember, we talked about physical, moral, ethics, social value of fasting, right? A physical and biological reality is transformed into a spiritual experience. Hunger is no longer hunger. Thirst is no longer thirst. It is ibadah. Now, you got to get what it's talking about. Hunger is no longer hunger. Thirst is no longer thirst. It's ibadah. It's training to get you close to Allah. It's a training ground, right? Tatakun, taqwa, itika, right? To affect your religion. This biological abstaining from food, drink, and all of that, that's mainly at first biological, but it's a spiritual, and it's an ethical, and it's a moral training. It's ibadah. Worship. That's exactly what it is. A humbling experience of obedience to our Creator. Each step is a milestone on a spiritual journey toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose pleasure we ultimately seek. Through the process of extending Ramadan, during Ramadan, we develop a heightened ability to subdue and subjugate our lower nafs. That is amara, which urges us to pursue and to satisfy all our instinctive desires and pleasures without any limit or degree of restraint. When we put a check on our riotous nafs in Ramadan, it is just like placing a bridle on an unruly horse. The animal in all of us is domesticated. Our body, with its lower earthly desires, is no longer an opponent or conspiring adversary to righteousness. Now all our senses, desires, and actions are obedient soldiers willing to execute Allah's will. Now, this is some very serious stuff. Here we are as a physical body. We have nafs. The nafs are good or they're bad. It's according to how you use them. It's according to how you educate them. It's according to how you train them. It's according to how you use them. If you use this Ramadan properly, your nafs is not an opponent anymore. It's a cooperating agent to help you in the cause of Allah. When you subjugate, when you control, when you discipline your nafs, right? You're training your physical self to be a moral and a spiritual agent, right? Moving to please Allah. It is ibadah. It is worship. It is worship. That's what this whole thing is about today. It's about worship, right? It's about praise to Allah. As As-Sabiqun, we must approach fasting in Ramadan as a blessing and an opportunity to purify our intentions to engage in sincere Islamic work. We should refocus our attention on who we are and where we want to go. This will furnish us with a clear image of the work that must be done. It will also energize us to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve our noble or lofty goals. Just related, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ramadan is the month whose beginning is mercy, the middle is forgiveness, and the end is salvation from the fire. At each stage of this blessed month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reserved something special for us. So we want to be willing servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to control our nafs. And if we're not controlling them all the year, if we can get partial control during Ramadan, that's what it says, the doors of heaven are open, the doors of hell are closed, and the shaitan is tied up in chains. Why is he tied up in chains? Because all the things, food, women, men, all that desire, that's the tools of shaitan. But you're coming here for Taraweeh prayers. You're visiting the Masjid on a regular basis. You're fasting and gaining or regaining control of yourself. It's like a tune-up. You're tuning yourself up. Anything that you use, you got to tune it up. Isn't that right? And one thing we want to mention before closing is goals in Ramadan. These are not something you have to do, but you know, like people get married and they don't have marriage goals. But when they go into business, they have business goals and business management and a business plan, right? What about a Ramadan plan? Every year, we should have a plan. This is a recommendation. Am I going to read? I can say that I want to read the whole Quran during that year. You can say I want to set several hours aside each day and I want to read the Quran and the commentary of